You gave me something before. If you give me 2, 5.
Dabe mi pacho. I won't tape you there.
I
won't tape. No, Dabe. Dabe mi pacho.
Hello.
I'm trying to extort some money out of you because I accidentally taped her.
How much is that?
How much?
So you put this on. Y'all look like y'all from Detroit. New Jersey. All right. New Jersey. That must be a nice place. That's what I'm saying.
C'est quoi qu'il a acheté lui? Now you supposed to pay?
Yeah, come on, don't worry about it.
Hey, don't try to escort me, man.
Come on.
I feel like I'm on 79th Street. I let you try to escort me. So you got a picture of me. You pay, you buy my stuff.
Hello, the tour guide is going to start with you. Tour guide.
The tour guide, there you go. He ain't saying nothing. He's just doing like this.
The tour guide is waiting for you.
Oh, okay. Oh, come on, bro.
Bread.
Same movie. Yes. Welcome to Portuguese Castle or Elmina Castle. My name is Charles Edu. This is the inner courtyard, the original place built by the Portuguese in 1482. The Portuguese first came here to trade in gold and ivory, built the castle and used the rooms on the ground floor as their warehouses, storerooms. Those rooms we shall soon get. But when the slave trade started in the 16th century, these storerooms were converted into dungeons to hold the cattle. This is where they held the women. We are in the female section, separated from the men. We will see where they held the men later. While the Portuguese were here, other European nations came. The Dutch came. After 2 unsuccessful attempts, 1597 and 1625, the Dutch finally succeeded, capturing the castle from the Portuguese in 1637. Many parts of the castle were destroyed because of the fighting. So the Dutch had to later they added more structures, more rooms, and then made this place their trading head. So now we see much of the Dutch architecture than that of the Portuguese. Then in 17, the British came to fight the Dutch. They also won the distance, but failed. However, in 1870, the Dutch decided to sell the castle to the British. So from 1872, this castle became the property of the British. But the British came in here when the slave trade abolished. But that does not mean the British did not not take part in the slave trade. They used Cape Coast Castle, not this one. The Portuguese and the Dutch used this castle for their trade. Second World War, Africans were trained by the British and were sent to that was the Royal West African Frontier Force. They were trained here. And then in 1948, the same castle was used as a police training school. Still, St. George's Castle or Elmina Castle is the first important European building ever to be built, not only in this country, but the whole of tropical Africa, south of the Sahara. That's a brief history about this place. We are now starting the tour. If you have questions, you can ask. You can use your camera, it's allowed. Shall we start? This is a system, a reservoir, water tank. Water tank. This was constructed by the Portuguese to store water. With the roof, which came from over there. This work was filtered before here. This is the only source of water, fresh water. It's no more fresh anyway. It could hold about 10,000 liters of water, one full. It covers the whole area. Right. Can we please get to the decks? The place of this was, this was one of the dungeons for the women. There were iron gates involved, so it was very difficult for them to escape. Here, between 100 and 150 women were packed in. 3 months, depending on the time that ships came to take them away. No places of convenience, no toilet facilities. They were only given empty containers placed on everything was in here. So the longer they stayed here, the more they died of privation, feeding, and sanitation. That small hole over there was a ventilator to get air. But inside there was ammo, their magazine, gunpowder, and other explosives. So you can imagine the air that was coming from there, that was sulfur. Please, let's wash your head here, please. Wash your head.
Shut their face. About to be old up there. Thank you.
Another room for the women. We are set on the female end. This is the original floor, made Portuguese with red bricks, all imported from Portugal. All the materials used to build the castle were brought from Europe, except sand and stones, of course water. But even some stones were brought. Sometimes their ships came empty, so they had to burn the ships with the stones. They used them as ballast. And even the wood they brought. Why bringing wood to Africa? At that time, African wood was considered to be either too hard or too soft to work with. Again, at that time, Europeans were afraid to go to the interior to get the wood. They thought our forefathers were us. They could have been if they had gone there to get the wood. So they had to bring the wood from elsewhere. But these ones have been changed, except these two, this and that, original from the Dutch. The rest are new. And here are some of the original iron bars. These were there is wood. This is the original bars, 300 years plus from the Dutch. Please, let's continue. This is a cannonball. There were many cannonballs here with chains on them for punishment. Any female captive who became difficult to control was removed from the room, brought here and chained to the ankle. It was made to stand here in a hot sun for so many hours before it was allowed to get in. And while here, sometimes they raped the women. When the government wanted to do that, he stood on the balcony up there, ordered. The gates were open, and all the women came out. That was the only time the women were allowed out. So that from there, the governor could look through to pick one. The chosen one was made to go out there, through there. Let's see that, please. So from the stairs, of course, the staircase is new, it's not the original one. So from the stairs, and then through a small up there, they call it the trap door, where the governor will be waiting. We will see that trap door when we go to the top from the other end. It wasn't only the governors who were doing that. The soldiers, the men were doing the same thing. After the war, those found pregnant were later set free. That's explains why we had mixed blood in Ghana along the coast, where they built castles. But in actual fact, some of the governors and merchants went to the villages to marry some of the local women. They lived with them, built some houses for them, and gave names to the children. So that explains why we had and we still have some Ghanaians bearing European names. We have names like Da Costa Froome, Van Boham, Terms, Mills, Smith, Hansen, D'Souza, Wattenberg, Van der Poel, Van Dyke, Vieira, Brookman, Ferguson, Rawlins, so forth, and so on. And in those days, some of those children felt superior to the local people, probably because of the color of the skin or the privileges they had. Those children were taken through for education. So they became less elite in the society. So they looked down upon the other Africans who had little or no formal education. And so sometimes that marked the beginning of this unity between the Africans. There was a gate here. There was a gate. And this was the way out for the women to the ship. But these iron bars were put here in 1948 when the castle was used as a police training school to prevent people from falling down. The men were made to join in from the other side. So we are going to pass there to see this tunnel leading to the beach, to the gate of no return. Continue. These gorgeous steps.
Okay, got it.
Please. This was the transit dungeon, waiting room for the men. Here, between 250, 300 men were made to wait for a few hours. At that time, those windows were blocked, and as soon as they were brought in, they were closed. Apart from a small hole there on the door to allow some air, This place was the main way of getting air and light while waiting for shipments. There's a group there. Yeah. There's a group there. There are many. You can't also get there. You have to come out before we go. Let's continue, and then when they will also get there. So let's continue, please. We cannot waste time here. Please. Yeah, please.
Did you get this picture behind the booth so that they're taking our picture?
Join us, I'll also take you to Miss. So let's go together. Here we have a plaque. A plaque for one of the Dutch officials, one L. Van Tets. Here's the Tets. L.J. Van Tets was one of the Dutch Director Generals. Director General was the same as the governor, who came from Zeeland. Zeeland is one of the provinces in the Netherlands, Holland. He arrived here on 16 January 1758, but died on 12 March the same year, at the age of 41, probably of malaria. He was buried down here. This writing is old. All that is saying is what I've just explained. But down here is a small writing written by the then resident pastor called A. Andres. He also came from a village called Fear, the same province, Zeeland, saying that that governor, L.J. Van Tets, was an honorable man. An honorable man. Let's continue.
She fall and bust her head. She fall and bust her head. Yeah.
These are some of the original iron bars put there by that 300 years plus. They are now rusting away. And this was the prison for the Dutch. Sometimes the soldiers themselves misbehaved, excessive drinking, ran away to the village without authority, and were some offenses. So those soldiers who misbehaved were arrested, brought here to be disciplined. But this place was well ventilated as compared to the room. Please, let's see that. Excuse me, please don't panic. Just a second. This was the condemned cell, dead cell, for the pirates, the robbers, and the natives who wanted to fight to get their freedom. The lead, today we may call them freedom fighters. They were brought here and starved to death. No food, no water. So when they were here, a room of no return, dead cell. That's why above we have a skull and a crossbone, symbol of death. That was put there by the Dutch. A room of no return. Thank God we are returning.
Thank you.
Oh, they have a church too?
Oh, they had a church.
Oh, this is all name of Christianity.
Hypocrisy was at best.
This is Christianity.
We have this sliding wall, this wall. There is another one there. These were constructed by the Dutch to support the walls, to buttress the castle, to make the walls stronger. But the iron bars were put there in 1948. And this castle was used as a police training school for training, for exercises. They were climbing up and down. Right. All these rooms down here, all around, and all those rooms all around were for the men. They took more men than women. And at the center was the Portuguese church. Portuguese church. Was a Catholic. Catholic origin started in this country from this village, Elmina. It's now a town. This was the first church, the first Catholic church in the Gold Coast, now Ghana. But in 1637, when the Dutch captured the castle, the Dutch were Protestants. They shortened the church. They removed all the towers, made the second floor, used it as soldiers' mess, where the junior soldiers eating and drinking, and then turned the room itself into slave auction hall, house of trade, negotiation hall, that's slave market. And then in 1948, when the castle was used as a police training school, the same church was turned into a classroom for the police. So from church to slave market to school, it's now a museum. Shall we continue? Hello, you are welcome. Let's continue.
They came to steal the refrigerator and gas range.
Go to wash your hair in a step. Yeah, please, we are going to go in there, wash your hair. There is a short step down before you get to a level ground. Just walk straight and keep back. Watch your hair, and a step down, Good. You're welcome. Right. Watch your hair, and a step down, and hold my hand. Slowly. Now get down. Okay. Just step down. Just a step down. Yes. Watch. Step down. Get down. Yes. Step down. One step. Get down. Okay. Don't fall down. Step down. Okay. 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 Step down.